Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Today's topic, today's question of the day is tips on getting back on track after maybe a weekend of indulgences or a holiday. And then the topic of the day is the ketogenic diet, super popular right now. It's been around for a while, but it's hey Caroline. It's been around for a while, but in more recent years, it's been kind of adapted into a weight loss diet. So we're going to talk about that. It's a lot to unpack. But it's some really good information on the keto diet, the science behind it, what it entails, and if it's the right diet for you. So I'm gonna give it as usual. Hi Denise, happy Friday. Thanks for joining. I loved your post earlier today. We're gonna give it one more minute and then we'll get into it. As always, comment your emails in my comments and I will add you to my nutrition newsletter, where this week I sent out some tips on how to see if you're actually reaching that recommended amount of 5 servings of fruits and vegetables in a day. Like, we always hear 5 a day, and if you're having some sort of fruit or vegetable every meal, you might think that you're reaching that. But oftentimes, I found that once I actually measured out my fruits and veggies, when I was testing it for a couple days, I found that I was actually under. So I talk about that. I send out recipes, different tips. Whether they're nutrition based or just wellness based. I'll talk about, health, sleep hygiene, hydration, things like that. So we're going to get into it. So the question of the day: how do we get back on track after a weekend of indulgences, whether it was, drinks or eating or a holiday? My basic recommendation is just go back to your normal routine that feels good to you. You should be, regardless of if you're trying to work towards some specific nutrition or health goals, you should still be enjoying your favorite foods. Don't, and I always say this, and I really want to encourage people to never feel bad about eating, no matter what food you're eating or how much. Don't beat yourself up, because there's no point in that. If you enjoyed what you ate or drank that weekend or that holiday, then you honored your craving, you satisfied it, and I think that's perfectly fine. The goal of working towards healthy habits or making healthy changes should never be about being perfect. That idea in and of itself, of having perfect health, isn't mentally healthy, and it kind of sets you up for failure. So first of all, if you feel like you overindulged, don't beat yourself up. Don't feel guilty. Making healthy changes is about the big picture. It's not about one weekend or even 1 month. In response to an indulgent weekend, some people restrict. So also wouldn't encourage this, so if you indulged over the weekend, then maybe on Monday you really restrict what you're eating to kind of make up for that. This enforces kind of that cycle of a restrict binge or restrict overeat cycle. Just because you might have overdone it or gotten an excess amount of calories and you really needed one day doesn't mean that the next day your body doesn't need nutrients. So you need to be providing yourself with nutrients and calories every single day, regardless of what the day before or the week before or the weekend before looked like. Now, if you noticed that when you did indulge that you binged or that you ate until you were uncomfortably full, then again, nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be guilty about or to have to try to make up for, but it's something to look at from a lens of curiosity, and think about maybe working to learn to enjoy foods, without overdoing it through mindful and intuitive eating. Where if you have questions about that, I have some videos that I've posted about it before, but you can message me too if you have any questions about intuitive or mindful eating. Um, but basically, it's about learning to honor your hunger and satiety and craving cues without overdoing it. Hi, Pam. Didn't realize this computer. Can you hear me, or it is recorded? So if you can't hear me right now for whatever reason, it gets it'll be up on the Why Without Walls Facebook page, um, when I'm done. Yeah. Can everybody else hear me? Um, so yeah, just remember that you're not bad or good based on how or what you ate. Bottom line, go back to your routine of what makes you feel good, of eating foods that make you feel your best, moving your body in ways that feel good. Drink plenty of water, and just remember, if you okay, thanks, Caroline. If you feel like you gained a significant amount of weight over the weekend from whatever you ate, just remember it's really difficult to actually gain a significant amount of weight in like such a short period of time. If you're feeling bloated or whatever, it's likely water weight. Drink plenty of water, eat your fruits and veggies, just move on, basically. So, the ketogenic diet. This is something that I've had a lot of people ask me about in terms of my thoughts on it, if it's worth it. So I'm just going to break it down. There's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of information about it. There are a lot of studies that are going on, about the keto diet, if it's effective for weight loss, if it's effective for cardiovascular disease, if it helps to improve glycemic control of blood sugars. A lot of these studies aren't conclusive yet or don't have enough evidence. I'm going to get into it a little bit, but the background of the keto diet, it was developed around 100 years ago, to treat children with epilepsy, specifically children who were resistant to the epileptic drug. So the keto diet was kind of developed, for these children who the drug didn't work for. And then it kind of was marketed, as a weight loss diet in more recent years, starting with like the Atkins diet in the 70s, South Beach diet, and other just like low carb diets. There's no set guidelines for, so it's basically super low carb, high in fat, moderate protein. There's no set guidelines for the amount of carbohydrates that are recommended on keto. Some people do 20 grams, some people do 80 grams. And just like for a reference point, one medium apple is like 25 grams of carbs. So it's super low. Um, Carbohydrates are the body and brain's preferred energy source for fuel. So when you're severely cutting, um, carbohydrates from your diet, your body's forced into something called ketosis, which is the conversion of fat, into ketones, which those ketones are then used for fuel, for energy for your cells. So the idea is that this is going to help with weight loss and help with blood sugar control in diabetes as well. So like I said, it's super high in fat and moderate protein. So that means this diet includes lots of meat products, eggs, whole fat dairy products, so milk, yogurt, cheese, fish, butter, plant oils, some nuts and seeds, although those have some carbs in them too, and really low fiber, low carb vegetables, like the less starchy veggies. Super low in carbs, so yes, that means that it cuts out, by default, your refined carbohydrates and your foods that have lots of added sugars. but it also cuts out the carbohydrates that are found in your plant proteins like pulses and beans, legumes. It cuts out whole grains, cuts out fruits because those are naturally high in carbohydrate and in fructose, and starchy veggies. Hi, mom. So just those things. So like your starchy veggies, your fruits, your grains, plant proteins. That cuts out 3 to 4 entire food groups. So a lot of people do this by me for weight loss. So there are no studies on long-term weight loss with keto. It has been shown that yes, people do lose weight in the short term, like with many other diets. The question is why why is it that they're losing this weight in the short term? It might not be because your body is in ketosis itself. It might be because you're in a calorie deficit, which is required for any sort of weight loss. So any diet that restricts food groups or entire macronutrients like carbohydrates can lead to reduced calorie intake because you're really limiting the kinds of foods that you can be eating. So like I said, since the only way to lose weight is in a calorie deficit, that might be why people are losing weight, regardless of whether their body's in ketosis or not. Another reason could be because, with keto, like I said, you're cutting out those added sugars and those refined carbohydrates, those white breads, those sugary cereals, things like that. That might help reduce your calorie intake. But it's still being studied whether or not ketosis itself helps to lose weight or helps with that calorie deficit. Some studies have shown that this helps with glycemic control in individuals with diabetes, so helps to control your blood sugar levels. Again, this could just be due to that calorie deficit that helps people to lose weight, thus helping them to better control their blood sugar. So it could be related to weight loss rather than ketosis itself. Again, that's still being studied as well. It's likely to, people do lose a significant amount of weight when they first go on this diet from cutting those carbohydrates. So carbohydrates themselves, that the molecule of a carbohydrate molecule hangs on to a lot more water than does protein and fat. So when you're cutting out carbs, you're losing water weight. So you do see some weight loss. However, that's water. We're made up of, over 2/3 water, and we don't need to be losing that water weight, but that is a side effect of cutting carbohydrates. You're losing that water weight. So yes, technically you're losing weight, but you're not losing, fat mass. Another thing to consider with the keto diet is, if you're going to do it, it can be difficult to actually achieve that ketosis state in the body. If you're following it incorrectly and you're having too much, and I'm putting this in air quotes because this is too much in terms of the diet. If you're having too much protein, then the protein that you're eating can instead be used for energy rather than the fat that you're eating. So therefore your body isn't going into ketosis. And if you're getting too little protein and you're losing weight, you're in a calorie deficit, then your body can be taking that energy from your lean muscle stores, and that can result in lean muscle or lean mass depletion, which we never want with weight loss. We want to try to maintain that lean mass. With any diet that cuts out entire food groups or promotes the restriction of macronutrients, it's hard to follow, and it can just be not fun. And I don't think that you should be cutting out carbohydrates. They're not the enemy. Carbohydrates don't make you fat. They're not bad for you. So with any diet that promotes, certain foods are better than others, this always runs the risk of, creating an unhealthy relationship with food, and creating unnecessary food rules. And, that can affect so many different parts of your life, your mental health, your social life. If you're worried about going to a holiday party because there's not going to be anything that's keto that you could have, you know, it's just not necessary, not healthy. Because this diet is so high in fat and often includes a lot of animal products, this can lead to a high intake of, fat, like I said, sodium, cholesterol, and a low intake of fiber, antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and that really increases your risk of developing deficiencies. So it's super low in fiber. Fiber is found only in plant foods. Plant foods are naturally high in carbohydrates, so when you're doing super low carb, you're doing super low fiber. This can lead to constipation, altered gut microbiota. Fiber helps to pull cholesterol out of the blood and keep us full. So when you're not having enough fiber, you're not getting those benefits. You're gonna be reducing your amount of fruits and vegetables that you can be having. That's going to lower your intake of antioxidants, phytochemicals, um, and whole grains as well. You're cutting down on whole grains, which are giving you really good B vitamins and fiber as well. High in fat. So if you're doing keto, you can choose those healthier unsaturated fats, um, but you do, have to be careful of saturated fats, which are naturally found in those whole fat dairy products and animal products, meat, poultry, things like that. That saturated fat increases your risk for cardiovascular disease. It can cause high cholesterol. So if you are doing the heart healthy fats, like if you're choosing unsaturated fats like your nuts and your seeds and your oils, just remember that fat itself contains the most calories per gram compared to carbohydrates and protein. So it is still easy to achieve a calorie surplus when you're eating a lot of fat, regardless of whether it's that heart healthy fat or that saturated trans fat. If you are choosing to eat more meat, if you're choosing to, eat fattier meats on this keto diet, um, it's likely that you might get too much sodium as well, since a lot of meat, is marinated or has different seasonings on it, different rubs. Most of us get too much sodium anyways, so it's something that you have to be careful about. Like with any diet, 95% of diets fail. And 2/3 of people who have lost weight on a diet have been shown, and this is studied, have been shown to gain that weight back and more in the long run after like 2 to 5 years. And like I said, there are no studies that show the long-term effects of keto diet and on weight loss. So just something to consider. Diets fail for a reason. They fail because they're hard to maintain. But the good thing is that it's not necessary to be following a diet in order to lose weight or to make healthy changes. There are much less restrictive ways that don't involve elimination of entire food groups or strict restriction of calories or whatever it may be. Instead, like choosing sustainable, long-term, small changes over time where you can still include all of your favorite groups. You can have a balanced diet of whole foods, fruits, vegetables, your grains that you like, your lean protein sources, all the foods that you like without cutting out, whole food groups. That diet, which is balanced with, your fruits, veggies, proteins, grains, has also been shown to reduce the risk of many diseases and improve longevity of life. So you don't need to be doing keto in order to make healthy changes. And if you're looking to lose weight, there's no way to do this that has been shown so far without being in a calorie deficit. So just doing keto without the calorie deficit isn't going to do it for you. So, that just goes to show that you don't need to be doing keto in order to achieve weight loss. And lastly, before you try any sort of diet, whether it be keto or Weight Watchers or whatever else is out there, you want to ask yourself this question. Is this something that I can do in the long run? A lot of people only see the short term of things, like when they're thinking about a diet. Um, and especially with keto, can you see yourself really restricting your fruit and veg and grain intake? Can you see yourself cutting out bread and oatmeal and potatoes in the long run? Are those foods that you really love that you don't really want to be cutting out? Does this fit in with your lifestyle? Is this going to really affect, like I said, your social life? Thinking about, if you want to go to a barbecue and not being able to have, your potato salad or your corn, is this going to really affect, your lifestyle? Do you have time to meal plan and to kind of commit to this? Do you enjoy this? Like I said, are you cutting out some of your favorite foods for the sake of this diet? And if you are, then I say that's a big red flag. Is this fostering a healthy relationship with food, with any sort of diet? And when I say diet, I'm talking about fad diets, diets by means of weight loss. I'm not talking about medical nutrition therapy. So I'm not talking about diets for kidney disease or for diabetes those are diets that are evidence-based to help improve, a specific medical disease or condition. What I'm talking about are these sort of more fad diets, more trendy diets. So, with any of these types of diets or any type of restriction, there runs a risk of developing an unhealthy relationship with food, where you might be obsessing about grams of fat or grams of carbohydrates or calories or how many calories you burned with exercise. You might find that you're, measuring everything. There is a time and a place where that might be helpful for you. But if you find that you're obsessing about it, weighing foods, measuring foods, or basing your worth on how you ate that day, if you exercised that day, or what you ate that day, if you're basing your self-worth on that, it is never worth it. If you ask yourself those questions and answer, and you find that, no, I won't enjoy this, or this is going to be really hard to fit into my lifestyle, or no, I don't see myself doing this 2 to 3 years from now, then there's your answer right there. I don't think it's worth it. That's not to say that there aren't healthy, more enjoyable ways to work towards whatever wellness goals that you have, but keto doesn't have to be it. South Beach doesn't have to be it. Drinking celery juice every morning when you hate it doesn't have to be the way to go if that's not what you enjoy. So that was a lot of information right there, all on keto. Um, Again, they're still doing studies on keto. The studies that they have done on it haven't been conclusive either way. Um, they haven't been able to determine what it is about keto that, might help with weight loss, or if it actually, helps with weight loss in the long run. I don't support it by means of weight loss. I don't think it's necessary. Um, so yeah, if anybody has any questions, as always, message me on Facebook, email me, comment your email below to join my nutrition newsletter, and give me some suggestions for what you want me to cover for next week. So next week's talk is on June, I can't believe it's already June 12th, Friday, 12:30. I have my office hours. I can put a post in this group again with the details for my virtual office hours where you call in and ask questions. That's completely free. I'm here for you guys. I want to support you. I have lots of information. I have lots of resources, recipes that I can email you and share with you. And I look forward to seeing you back here next week. Bye now.